Some of the most picturesque coastline in the world can be found in Southern California. It's breathtaking and beauty at every turn. This area between Los Angeles and San Diego is also the proud home of one of the nation's largest marine bases at Camp Pendleton, where the best of the best train for battle. On land, and in the water with amphibious armored vehicles, as today Camp Pendleton's 35,000 Marines will oversee the inaugural Isuzu Ironman California Triathlon here on ESPN. Over 1,500 on the start line today, and the favourite to take it all is the Australian Chris Lee. Lee has been tantalisingly close to Ironman wins in the past, but has never won. Today could be the day. Peter Vebricek is far less experienced than Lee, but does have an Ironman win on his resume. It was February in South Africa. This is his North American coming out party. 32-year-old Heather Fuhr is the most decorated civilian here, with 8 career Ironman wins and the World Championship in Hawaii in 1997. Fellow Canadian Melissa Spooner figures to be Fuhr's chief rival today, but she's battling back from nagging injuries, and this is her first test of the new millennium. Along with the pros here, over 1,500 age groupers competing, including John and Nancy Hill from Austin, Texas. John has been the Ironman distance before, but this is Nancy's maiden voyage. Wow. It's a fact not lost on John.
I've given her advice not to get caught up in everybody else's game plans, because everybody has their own nutritional strategy, race strategy, you know, how to get in and out of the transition. And it seems like if you get caught up in too many things, worrying about other people's plan, then that could really hurt your day. So I suggested that she doesn't, you know, get too caught up in other people's plans. And then I give her just general tips, you know, maybe set your goal as to finish the race, to have fun. And with those 2 goals in mind, you'll most likely have your best day.
And the man who has seen more days than anyone else here is 77-year-old Bill Bell.
Good. That'll do it. Thank you. Thank you.
Right down that ramp. If you're at the bottom.
If he finishes this race, he'll be the oldest ever to go the Ironman distance. A last-minute kiss for the hills as the curtain is about to come up on the inaugural Isuzu Ironman California Triathlon here at Camp Pendleton. As is the case at all Ironman races, competitors are about to tackle a 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and a marathon 26.2 miles. It's 7 a.m. and there's no starter's gun bigger than this. At stake today, prize money for the pros and 100 coveted qualifying spots for the World Championship in Hawaii this October. Up front in the white cap, New Zealand's Brian Rhodes has grabbed the early lead as he makes his way through the water. In his wake, hundreds of Ironman athletes all beginning a journey that they hope will end at the Ironman finish line before the midnight deadline. The 2000 Isuzu Ironman California Triathlon is brought to you by Isuzu. We don't make cars because life is too big for cars. By IronmanLive.com, the official website of the Ironman and your only source for live audio and video. Over 1,500 athletes in the water here at Camp Pendleton, and the two-way traffic around the turnaround boat means the leaders are headed back to the shore in this 2.4-mile swim. Still up front is the 27-year-old Kiwi Brian Rhodes, 6th in Ironman New Zealand earlier this year. He's not just a swim rabbit either, and a top finish is realistic. In the chase pack, women's leader Christian Johnson is in the light blue. She swims with Chris Lee in the white cap. For Lee, it's another chance for potential to meet performance in an Ironman.
Going into this race as one of the favourites again isn't really an issue with me. I've yet to go into an Ironman and to really complete it and put into practice everything that I really do in training. And I think, like so many other athletes who race Ironman races, they probably have their best days out in the training field. And I just want to get everything right in the day. And if I execute it properly, then I shouldn't have a problem. I should have a strong race. So that's exactly what I want to do.
About a minute off the men's lead, Czech Republic's Peter Vebricek makes his way through the Pacific. Only 24, he's just finding his Ironman stride. Back up front, the wrestling match for the lead continues with Rhodes and age grouper Todd Gerlach. Just behind him in the light blue is Kristen Johnson. In the women's race, the clear favourite is 29-year-old Melissa Spooner. For her, each Ironman is simply a game of patience.
I don't really think Ironman racing is about winning by beating other people. It's about winning by doing the best you can do. So that's one of the things I want to keep in mind. It's just a really long day out there, and to start worrying at mile 2 where you are necessarily on the swim back from somebody or ahead of somebody, I think that's very exhausting, and I think that that's energy spent better other places.
Even so, Spooner's biggest rival here today is former world champion Heather Fuhr. Fuhr is always a worthy foe, but especially so today.
This race is actually one of my really important races for the year. Not only is it in my hometown where I live, which is pretty nice, but pretty important. It really, I feel like it'll be the first race of the season, and it'll give me an idea of where I am for the year. So it's extremely important.
A Canadian living in San Diego, Fuhr will not go easily on her home court. Come to an Ironman race and you'll never know who you'll find volunteering. Here's Ironman Hall of Famer Scott Tinley, helping out this morning, keeping a watchful eye on the swimmers. In this foggy Aqua Freeway, just off the 405, we find John Hill of Austin, Texas in the white cap. Stroke seems smooth. And just behind, we find wife Nancy, making her way through the first leg of the Ironman. So far, so good. Just what did her hubby get her into?
Dash toward the swim finish.
And finally, there is Bill Bell, 77 years young and looking for an age group record. Remarkable.
Check out the carpet right after the back.
The single stream of swimmers as the leaders approach shore at the end of the 2.4-mile swim. Brian Rhodes is out of the water first and charging to the transition. He must build on his early advantage. Only 15 seconds off the men's lead, women's leader Kristen Johnston exits. It's a sweep for the Ironman wetsuits, but now the trick is getting out of it. Oh well, it's always good to get a few helping hands. For Chris Lee, shore cannot come soon enough. reason? Brian Rhodes and his swimming buddies are already changed and ready now to hit the pavement.
Brian! Go, go, go! Go, Brian! Here we go.
The blue cap of second woman Nicole de Boom, just in front of Chris Lee in the white. Back to the bike, and Todd Gerlach, number 400, is away on Rhodes' heels. But for how long? Also in the transition is women's leader Kristen Johnston of Charlotte. She shines in the water, but her challenges are always on land. Shoes in hand, Chris Lee has extricated himself from his wetsuit and takes square aim now at 112 miles on the bike. Melissa Spooner rises from the Pacific. And number 38, Nicole de Boom, is the second woman away. Here comes number 2, Peter Vebricek. He must now chase the lead. And that lead is held by Rhodes, who tests the early conditions. As always, Heather Fuhr has spotted the field some time. She's out in over an hour. Mel Spooner knows the key is to put time into Fuhr on the bike, so there is some urgency always with her. Already a quick change at the front as Nicole de Boom has passed Kristen Johnston and takes the early lead. For Heather Fuhr, different day, same story. She spotted the fielder lead and now must chase on the bike to stay close for the run. Brian Rhodes heads through a military aid station as he pushes further into Camp Pendleton. He knows the lonely feeling he has now won't last long. Back in the swim to bike transition, 30-year-old John Hill is on his way to his bike. Swim time, 1 hour, 14 minutes. While his mind is on the task at hand, he must also be wondering how his wife, the Iron rookie Nancy, is doing in the water. With Ironman couples, this is a familiar story. Boy meets girl, boy does triathlon. Girl better learn how.
I got into triathlon.
Complete. She's out of the water in 1 hour and 32 minutes, and now it's off to find her bike. Race leader Brian Rhodes already has his. His problem is that so does everybody else, and he's wearing the bullseye. Rhodes' immediate problem is the upstart age grouper Todd Gerlach, now only 15 seconds back. In third place, we find number 23, Eric Bergen, and right on his heels, race favourite Chris Lee, both only 90 seconds off the lead. Back up front, and a shake-up coming from an unlikely source. This race has a decided Texas flavour, as Gerlach now moves in to take this Ironman bull by the horns.
Okay, now move up to the leader.
We must now wonder if Mr. Gerlach remembers there are 2 loops on this bike course. The jockeying continues just a minute or so behind as Chris Lee eases past Eric Bergen and up into third. First indeed, and it's off to a stunning start as De Boom builds a lead on lap 1 of the bike. After passing Kristen Johnston, Melissa Spooner has moved into second, but she's not making up time on the stubborn De Boom. The lead is now 2.5 minutes. In her wake is North Carolina's Johnston. She failed to finish 2 Ironman races last year, and it's too early to say if today will be any different. Now, over 7 minutes back, race favourite Heather Fuhr continues to dig herself a deep hole for the run. The lead is moving further away. And meanwhile, over 1,500 Ironman triathletes weave their way through the hills of Camp Pendleton, chasing their dreams as the inaugural Isuzu Ironman California Triathlon continues. We'll be back. Back to the Ironman, and 77-year-old Bill Bello has made it through the 2.4-mile swim in a smidge under an hour and 45 minutes as he now chases Ironman history. If he finishes here today under the 17-hour time limit, he'll break Jim Ward's record as the oldest person ever to go the Ironman distance. Far from the transition area, race leader Todd Gerlach, who's a strong cyclist, is holding on to his unlikely position as race leader. Now, just 15 seconds behind, Chris Lee moves towards what he hopes is a rendezvous with the lead. Proving once again that mutton chops can still work, Eric Bergen is left to wonder what if as Lee pulls away. Out of the shadows, a new star may be born today as 28-year-old Nicole De Boom continues to extend her lead. But De Boom's good fortune may be Melissa Spooner's latest problem. Nagging sciatica in her left leg has hampered her racing, and she's losing time to the lead. An age group winner in Oahu last October, Michelle Deasy has now moved into third place on this day. And the veteran of all veterans, 42-year-old Jan Wanklin, is making her mark here, now riding up into fourth. The rail-thin profile of Heather Fuhr belies Ironman racing, and today once again, time checks show she continues to lose time to the field. Up ahead in the men's race, Chris Lee is about to join Todd Gerlach's party with no invitation in hand. For swim leader Brian Rhodes, it's time to regroup and assess the rest of the day with perhaps lower expectations. Now, over 10 minutes back, Peter Vebricek rides alone as the race moves farther away. It's a baptism by fire.
Okay, let's go up to the summit.
But just when you thought Lee had thrown the knockout punch, it's a counter by Gerlach as he moves neatly up this climb without even a glance at his more famous rival. Nicole De Boom, and if the name sounds familiar, it should. married to pro triathlete Tim DeBoom and sister-in-law to Ironman veteran Tony. She's setting this race on fire. Her lead is almost in double digits. Out of the darkness comes Mel Spooner, nagged by injuries for almost a year. This race is vital.
It's important for me to have a good race, and whether or not that means I win, whether or not that means I come in uninjured. For me right now, feeling uninjured throughout the race is more important than crossing that line first.
Well, not sure how she feels now, but this has not gone as planned. She's dropping well off the lead. Also struggling on the bike is Heather Fuhr. It's been a problem for her, and she recognizes it.
I've actually put a lot of emphasis on my cycling this past winter, and I hope that it's stepped up a notch. I feel really good, and I feel strong on my bike, which I think is something that I really lacked in Hawaii last year, the strength. I didn't have any. So I'm looking forward to having a much better ride.
Well, if she is having a better ride, it's not showing on the watch. She is now over 13 minutes off DeBoom's lead. And in the battle for age group supremacy, John Hill is hanging right in. He's averaging over 20 miles an hour on his ride and moving smartly through the field. What of his iron rookie wife, Nancy? Well, not as fast as John, but that's okay. She's right on her pace, and her pre-race plans are right on target. Age groupers like Nancy Hill are riding all over Camp Pendleton today as Ironman California rolls on.
Powered by Sport Vision.
Phil Liggett back at the 2000 Isuzu Ironman California Triathlon at Camp Pendleton. Back in the hills that Camp Pendleton is offering up today, Todd Gerlach is giving the race favourite Chris Lee all he wants. It's Gerlach first up the climb.
15 yards in between the two. Chris is just down 50.
Moving his way up from the back and into third place is another Czech rider, Jan Strangmuller. 3 minutes 15 off the lead. Smiling away to a big lead in the women's race, Nicole DeBoom presses on. For Melissa Spooner, each chapter in this book keeps getting worse. Over 11 minutes back now. Right behind Spooner, an opportunistic DZ closes in. For Heather Fuhr, the gap has now swollen to a massive 17 minutes to the front. This is not what she had hoped for. Lee and Gerlach have been enjoying a cat-and-mouse battle for miles in the men's race, and now it's Lee's turn to play the aggressor. Is Chris Lee, a name that is known in the sport by virtually everyone. Let's rewind to Kona and the 1997 World Championship, and Chris Lee's body shuts down just 200 yards from the finish line. Dehydrated, he would collapse and be carried from the course. But just 6 months later in Australia, Lee would get off the deck to battle the then world champion Peter Reid to a sprint finish in an epic Ironman fight. And after that, it was time to return to Kona and tackle the demons from the previous year. Lee would again meet the great names in the sport like Leader, Hellriegel and Spencer Smith deep into the marathon. And in the end, he would finish a triumphant 6th and signal his return to form and forget his meltdown of a year before. Since then, Lee has been close to the Ironman winner's circle, but never in it. Today at Camp Pendleton, it could just be his day. Chris Lee has almost completed this 112-mile bike course here at Ironman California. Almost 5 hours in the saddle for the men's leader. Now in second place, Jan Strangmuller toils on, but 4 minutes behind Lee. For Lee, the ride has given him the lead he needed to start the marathon, as the tanks point the way home. For Lee, his official time is 4 hours 56 minutes. Camp Pendleton's bike course was no pushover. And the smile from early leader Todd Gerlach's gone, knocked off in lap 2 of the bike race. Chris Lee begins his 26.2-mile quest for Ironman win #1 of his career. For Strangmuller, he wasn't even the most notable Czech in the field. He's fooling the experts so far. Strangmuller arrives almost 5 minutes after Lee has departed. The Aussie is about to make his way onto the beachfront strand on this 2-lap course. And the Czech Republic's Jan Strangmuller has taken his time in transition. He departs now almost 7 minutes behind. Nicole de Boom hasn't seen anyone in her way for miles, and she's opening up a huge gap on the field. Almost 7 minutes back in second place, 28-year-old Michel Deasy rides alone also. And as the train whisks by, 42-year-old Jan Wanklin plugs on alone, 9 minutes off the lead. Wanklin is a determined runner and is always a factor in the marathon. For Melissa Spooner, the bottom has fallen out of this event. Up on her handlebars, she's now over 9 minutes back. Something is seriously wrong. And even further back, Heather Fuhr is almost in another area code. Everyone is tasting Nicole de Boom's fumes. Back in transition, the Czech everyone was talking about has arrived, 16 minutes off the lead.
What's that last thing there?
He's got it. Somebody goes in. We're good.
And for the Aussie lead, the early runner's been steady, but not spectacular. For now, though, it's good enough, as his lead is holding steady over the field. And an amphibious landing by some light armoured vehicles as training goes on, while today's Ironman moves through and around the base. Far away from the training exercises, 32-year-old Nancy Hill is well on her way to completing the 112-mile bike ride. Hubby John is up ahead, so all is well with the two hills. Same holds true for Nicole de Boom, in the lead and almost ready to run. Michelle Deasy holds on to second place. If Nicole needs a tank, she's in the right spot now. Remarkably, Heather Fuhr is now 18 minutes off the pace. This assault course has been something else. While for Nicole de Boom, 5 hours 31 minutes she spent on the bike.
I can't believe this. I'm in awe. My first Ironman.
But this is no laughing matter for Heather Fuhr. She was expecting to win. For the almost giddy de Boom, a few last-minute details, like tying your shoes. That done, she's away. With Michelle Deasy in second, this Ironman race has been turned upside down. Reputations are waning. First Ironman means first Ironman marathon too for de Boom. The exact deficit for Deasy is 10 minutes behind de Boom. And still smiling as she goes, Nicole de Boom is making this Ironman thing look kinda easy. Finally, Heather Fuhr is into the transition. But Heather is 18.5 minutes down to the lead. It will take something spectacular now to get back into this Ironman drama. Composed and taking her time, she gets ready to run. A few yards away in the transition area, a dejected Melissa Spooner is off her bike and done for the day.
I'm not doing it. Hey, man.
The injuries have reappeared, leaving Melissa wondering where the Ironman magic has gone.
I called it for you, Stan.
Surf the net. Either way, you'll want to log on to ironmanlive.com for great stories, merchandise and live Ironman race coverage from around the world. One man who never leaves the site, even at his tri-shop, is John Hill. He's off his bike in great shape and begins his Ironman marathon, while wife Nancy rides on behind him. The hills, as they say, are a-rolling. And the same can be said for Chris Lee. His steady pace has opened up an 8-minute lead. If he can hold together, the race is his. The muscular legs of Jan Strangmuller are beginning to tie up on the run. He clings now to second place. Ironically, his Czech countryman Peter Vebruček is the one applying the pressure, now less than 3 minutes out of second. Chris Lee is only battling himself and his memories as he moves towards the finish. The same can't be said for Nicole de Boom. She's got other obstacles, but the smile remains. In second, but posing no threat to de Boom, is Michel Deasy. In third is Jan Wanklin, but the real story is right behind her. It's Heather Fuhr moving through the field like it's stuck in quicksand. First, it's Wanklin who is passed. Jan was the appetizer, Michel Deasy is the entree. And that leaves just one course left on the menu. Nicole de Boom has breathed life into this event with her smile and determination, but in the end at the Ironman, the best overall game will always come home first. Champions do what they have to do to win, and today Heather Fuhr has done just that. A quick thumbs up and it's over. For Chris Lee, this is his last hurdle to clear as he walks through an aid station just before the finish. But just as quickly, he is away and the win is next. The 2000 Isuzu Ironman California Triathlon is brought to you by IronmanLive.com, the official website of the Ironman. Back to Oceanside Marina and the closing act of the 2000 Ironman California. There are just a few hundred yards to go for Chris Lee and the first Ironman win of his life. No such occasion for Jan Strangmuller, who now struggles in second place. His thighs are cramping and he's forced to walk. After all he's been through, this is the day that Chris Lee will win his first Ironman race, and it's here in California. A big hug from wife Sarah, well deserved. Ironically, the two Czechs meet thousands of miles from home as Peter Vebruček moves past Strangmuller into second place. Now let's meet the champion.
It's pretty tough. First part of the ride, I felt pretty good, and it's quite cloudy on the coast, and inland a little bit. It was really hot and really tough, and I started to fade a little bit at the end, but just kept the pace going and sort of held it together at the end, and felt strong in the middle part of the run. I was sort of struggling at the start, and having a few problems, but got into a good rhythm and saw my lead was extending, and so I got to walk through a few aid stations, and it made it a lot easier at the end of the day.
And so the final results, with Lee the only man to break 9 hours on this difficult course. Brian Rhodes was 4th, and Jan Strangmuller faded to finish 5th. And with just a few hundred meters to go, Heather Fuhr will win here today, with her biggest weapon, the run, coming through. For Nicole de Boom, the smile is gone. Cramps have forced her to walk now. There are happier times up front. For Heather, it's Ironman win number 9 of her career, but the first in her adopted hometown of San Diego. And in a cruel twist of fate, Jan Wanklin has pursued Nicole de Boom all day and has finally caught her for 2nd place near the end of the marathon. And now we can go back and speak to the champion.
The swim was tough, and then I felt good on the first loop of the bike, and then I suffered the 2nd time around, and those girls put a lot of time into me. And I came into the transition and just thought I'm just going to run as fast as I can and see if I can catch her. And I did, but I started to die pretty bad. So I was very glad to cross the finish line.
Yes, but in the end, it was Heather Fuhr's 3 hours, 4-minute marathon that was the difference. As you saw, Jan Wanklin nipped Nicole de Boom for 2nd, and Michelle Deasy hung on for an excellent 4th. Miles away from the winner's circle, 77-year-old Bill Bell has completed the 112-mile bike course just before the cutoff, and now heads out on the marathon.
How you feeling?
Tired.
You made the cutoff, though.
He has until midnight to rewrite the Ironman history books. Nancy Hills is already off her bike and is speeding through the marathon with a well-deserved smile. Husband John has had a dream race, finishing in 10 hours, 29 minutes and 30 seconds. One after another, they come to the line, fulfilling their Ironman dreams in one hard-to-describe moment. As night begins to fall, the faces get even more animated as they reach their destination. Nancy Hill's first Ironman family affair is a success.
You're doing fine.
He's 77 years old and the dream still lives on. He will make it home before the midnight cutoff. For now, this is Phil Liggett saying so long from the 2000 Isuzu Ironman California Triathlon.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. Go.com.
World Class Marathoning completed its Western expansion